Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to another episode of this. Now, I don't know if you can tell, it kind of looks like you can. It is currently nighttime here. I'm pre recording this episode because on Tuesday, as you are watching this, my son is having surgery. It's okay, it's a very minor surgery. It's literally on his pinky, so it's no big deal, but I will be with him in the hospital and during his recovery for most of the day, so I wouldn't have time to do this on the day of like I usually do. It is Sunday night, it is dark outside, it is late, and I'm very tired because I wanted to make an interesting custom thumbnail for this, and technical difficulties, minor meltdowns, nothing too terrible, nothing too bad, but still, not a happy girl right now. But let's go ahead and get to it because I'm here, you're here, let's do this. John Collins, my dear friend, suggested in a comment earlier that I should do an episode on my favorite iterations of the devil in movies, which I think is a great idea because I kind of love the devil in movies. Now, I did a previous episode here on the channel where I talked about people using the devil and the dark forces to kind of piss off the squares, to kind of, rattle the the streets a little bit. But in entertainment and movies, something I really like about the devil is how often this entity, this creature, this force is portrayed as a sort of boots on the ground type of character. In the I don't know, theology, mythology, however you want to put it, we have God, and we hardly ever get contact with God. We get contact with the emissaries of God, with the messengers. But when we have contact with the devil, we usually get the devil. The devil's a do his own job kind of guy. Now, in movies and in books, actually, we get a lot of like demons. We get a lot of stories about demons, about the children of the devil. We don't actually get, as much as I'd like at least, we don't get a whole lot of time with the Dark One himself. And when we do, oh God, I love it. So I wanted to talk about some movies. Not all of these are not a horror. Some of them are, but I mean, we got a few outliers here. And there are, like, I was doing a little bit of research, and there are actually a lot of movies where the devil more or less at least makes a cameo. There's a lot of devil cameos, like in the movie Angel Heart, Robert De Niro's character. He's in the movie for a very short amount of time, but I mean, it's a memorable role. That's not on this list. I actually don't really like that movie. It's one of those movies that got a lot of talk up about it, but ended up just kind of being like, yeah, I don't think that neo-noir thing is kind of it's not really my jam. But let's get started. The devil in movies. So to start, I want to take us way back to 1922, almost 100 years ago, to the movie, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Haxan. This movie, you can watch it for free right here on YouTube. That's where I watched it. It's got a fantastic score. The music constantly going through it. It's very operatic, very swelling and dramatic. This movie, it's a lot about witches, and the witches are the most interesting parts. However, it's a silent movie. It's black and white. It's not super grainy, but it's not a smooth film either. But it's really good. The imagery is really effective. If you're going to go for something that is just to look at, just to watch movement, it is a fantastic movie. And if you haven't seen it, right here on YouTube, look it up. It's Haxan. And yeah, fantastic movie. Of course, all of these will be listed in the description box below, of course. So feel free to look into it. Yes. So the next movie I want to bring up, we're going to jump forward a little bit to 1967 to the movie Bedazzled. Now, this movie did get a remake in 2000, and I love the remake. The remake has Elizabeth Hurley and Brendan Fraser in it. and Elizabeth Hurley is the devil. And Elizabeth Hurley, beautiful woman, and she brings her very British cuteness into it. And it's a fantastic movie. I actually watched it just last night, laughed my butt off over how funny Brendan Fraser is in it. But the 1967 version with Peter Cook and Dudley Moore, I love this movie. And you can actually, I believe, rent it on Amazon right now. If you've never seen it, if you don't know who Peter Cook is, Peter Cook, just real quick withdrawal here, he is the priest in The Princess Bride, the Mowwidge guy. That's Peter Cook. So he's much younger in this, and he actually plays the devil. Dudley Moore is the kind of schmuck who sells his soul for 7 wishes. And it's a very British movie. It's very silly. There's a lot of screaming Julie Andrews and blowing raspberries. It is delightful. It's everything you love about British humor. Real quick, because this movie kind of deals with like Faustian bargains, there have been a lot of movies made of Faust. A lot of, Faust and Mephistopheles. And if you listen to my podcast, A Case for Classics, if you don't, that's fine, I promise. But if you do, I did an episode on Johann von Goethe's book, Faust. And the problem with that is, in the book, Mephistopheles is not the devil. Mephistopheles is a familiar of the devil. He is not Satan himself. He is a demon. And I know that there have been movie adaptations that play a little more fast and loose with it, where Mephistopheles is actually the devil himself. You see some stage productions and all of that, where, he's got the little hoodie on, the little Anton LaVey hoodie with the little horns on. It's very adorable. But in the book, Mephistopheles is not the devil. What's next? All right, so we go from 1967 the next year, 1968. And I'm only bringing this one up because this one is, the devil's not really doing his own dirty work. I mean, he kind of is, but it's a cameo. It's a very short cameo, and it's Rosemary's Baby. Now, I've talked before that I have strange feelings about this because of Roman Polanski, but I'm actually going to be talking about, am I? Or am I not? Nope, I am. I'm going to be talking about another Roman Polanski movie later, and again, I feel weird about it, but the movie, you've already watched it, and you still kind of like it, I can't help it, but fuck Roman Polanski all at the same time, you know what I mean? But Rosemary's Baby, so the devil makes a cameo, and it's, in the beginning, it's John Cassavetes, and then it's John Cassavetes with, like, is that feathers? Scales? It's some sort of weird armor, and then it's got weird eyes. It's a really effective scene in the book. It's a little less so because they had to play a little more fast and loose with it in the movie, but that's an effective scene in the book. And, I mean, speaking of doing his dirty work, yeah, there's no summoning the baby. He had to, he had to procreate the same way the rest of us do. All right, well, we're taking a big jump here, all the way to 1985, the movie Legend. Now, I understand, like, I consider myself old, but people who were older than me maybe didn't love this movie. In 1985, I was 2 years old. I grew up watching this movie. I've seen this movie 1,000 times. I love this movie. Now, the red guy with gigantic horns, his character's name is The Darkness. And if you watch the movie, there is a little bit of a, is he the devil or just some sort of like fantasy red goat guy? Because we've got goblins, and he's not a guy who does a whole lot of his own dirty work. He sends, people out to do his shit for him. But that, come on, that costume, Tim Curry with, huge horns. If you've ever seen like a longhorn cattle in person, like huge horns. Fantastic makeup, fantastic effects on that. I love the movie. And come on, the big red guy. You love it, I love it. And Tim Curry, come on. So from 1985 to 1987, The Witches of Eastwick. Here's one. The devil does most of his own dirty work. Jack Nicholson seducing these 3 women, wreaking all kinds of weird havoc. Now, this movie is weird, and I don't know how well it is aged, because this was a movie made for people of a certain age in a certain age, and now it would just like, what? What are you doing with those peach pits? What? It's a weird movie, but Jack Nicholson is great as Old Scratch in this. It's a great rendition of the devil, and you see his softer side in this, of course. From 1987 to 1988, The Day of the Beast. Now, I just watched this movie for the Ghost Writers podcast just a few weeks ago. It's a Spanish movie, and this is one where the devil only shows up briefly, but the devil's kind of out causing trouble on his own. He's got kind of a posse with him, but I don't think the posse knows who he is, because for most of the movie he's in disguise. But I still have questions about this movie, because the whole premise of the movie is about stopping the birth of the Antichrist, and the devil and his posse kind of accidentally kill the Antichrist? I don't know. I have questions. It's a fun movie. Absolutely check it out. I just totally spoiled the ending for you, but I'm sorry. You'll still like the movie. 1993, Needful Things. Max von Sydow as the devil in this. This is based on a Stephen King book. It's a long book, but I think this is one of the few instances where I think I like the movie better. This is one where the devil is doing it himself. He is infecting these people. He's making these trades. He is spreading his influence, his own self. And it is beautifully done. The chaos, the destruction, the hatred, all by himself. And if you've never seen that movie, sit down and watch it. It has its corny moments, but it also has its surprising moments. Some of the shit that goes down in this movie is insane. It's a very, very good work. 1995, The Prophecy. Have I talked about this movie before? Like, okay, so I was still a kid. I was 12 years old when this movie came out. And this movie's fucked up. I watch it now. Like, this is a movie I still know and love, but this movie creeps me out sometimes. There's something about those eyeless sockets, and there's something about that vision that he has in that cave of that speared angel screaming. That is creepy. But Viggo Mortensen plays the devil in this, and he's in and out. He's not in there for very long. But this is a thing. Like, he shows up and he kind of brings his dark minions with him, but he keeps them back so that he can have the conversation, so that he can do the talking. Again, we're back to he's doing the work. I tend to think Viggo Mortensen, for me, lives in the same area as an actor as Gary Oldman, where little dabble do ya. They do their best in small parts because they tend to go very big. And it's better in small parts, and I think it was perfect here. The kind of very calm, very cold madness he has going on. Very, very good description. And I like his take on the devil. 1997, The Devil's Advocate. It's Al Pacino screaming for 2 hours. Now, come on. We got to talk about Al Pacino for just a second. We got time. I'm going to do it. We're going to talk about Al Pacino for just a second. So, Al Pacino is Al Pacino. Like, seriously, he's amazing. He's great. I think he did his best acting in the first 2 Godfather movies. Now, I am of the generation where, some of my peers either haven't seen The Godfather or watched it a long, long time ago when they were children with their parents or something, and then they don't get it. It makes me very uncomfortable hearing people say, I don't get it. I don't really like The Godfather. It's like, well, have you watched it lately? Those movies are so good. Al Pacino is so good in those movies, the first 2. The problem with the third one is he stops being Michael. He's a gigantic star by this point. He is Al Pacino at this point. And instead of playing Michael Corleone, he is playing Al Pacino. And I find that disappointing. There was a lot wrong with the third one, but that's something that's always kind of bothered me. So he's playing the devil and the devil's advocate. He is the devil. He is the mentor slash spoiler father of Keanu Reeves's character. But he goes on these, I mean, if you want to really utilize Al Pacino as an actor, give him a rant. Give him all the rants, because he's so good at it. And he does this rant talking about how he's a fan of man. He's been in the dirt with us from the beginning. He's been here. He's been doing this stuff. And of course he is sowing discord. He is creating trouble. He is doing very, very bad things and supporting very, very bad people because he's the devil. But there's the point of, the aloof, never present God versus the nose in the shit, down here with us, agent of evil. So how evil can he be if he is here with us? It's one of those, little things like, I'm not that bad. I'm really not. This is a really good movie, by the way. I haven't seen it in a while, but it's just a good movie. I really like it. But Al Pacino as Satan, oh, it's so good. Okay, so 1999. I said I was going to bring up Roman Polanski again. The Ninth Gate, 1999, The Ninth Gate. This is based on a book called The Club du Mans. And the book and the movie don't have that much in common. I read the book, and the book isn't as interesting as the movie. There's a lot of, it's like a detective story on books, like an occult detective story about books and the mysteries hidden within, especially ancient books. Limited edition, they wouldn't call them limited edition, they're rare. But so in the movie, the devil, again, we have the devil here on earth doing the work, right there with everybody. And it's kind of influencing, kind of pushing, but mostly in this one, the devil is sort of viewing everything, just kind of spectating. And Roman Polanski's wife plays the devil, and it's a strange movie, but it's a good portrayal of the devil, I think, just because really low-key character, only brings out the badass side when really needed. Otherwise, she's just kind of this drifter lady, just kind of traveling around, just kind of keeping watch over the study of these 3 books. I mean, again, fuck Roman Polanski, but it's an interesting movie. This is a choice you make for yourself. I'm not here to tell you what to do. If you should want to sit down and watch The Ninth Gate, if you haven't seen it, it stars Johnny Depp. It's a neat portrayal of the devil. It's a neat movie about old books. Okay, 1999 again, End of Days. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Gabriel Byrne. Gabriel Byrne is the devil. Do you remember that movie with Gerard Butler? I think it was called Dracula 2000, where as Dracula, Gerard Butler is able to instantly enthrall and arouse women just by looking at them, and all the women are like, when they see him. There's kind of the same thing in this movie. So Gabriel Byrne, he is loosed from his cage in hell and is able to come to Earth on the eve of the new millennium. And he is coming to meet this woman who has been raised in his cult, who has the marking. She is meant to bear his fruit. She is meant to bring about the Antichrist. And he rises up to do this himself. And he has these cult people, and they're only people, and they're inept. They're wealthy, but they're kind of complacent and lazy. So he ends up killing a lot of them. He ends up having a lot of sex. And he ends up, stalking this girl. And he's fighting Kevin Pollak and Arnold Schwarzenegger through the whole thing. Just to be able to kind of have sex with this Robin Tunney is the woman. And this is one of those movies. I don't know how well it would age. It was very 1999. But I don't know how great it would be now. I've watched it recently because it's already in me. I already love it. But if you haven't seen it, I don't know how well you would like it now because it is very, very 1999. But again, boots on the ground kind of devil doing his own thing, causing his own trouble, for crying out loud. Oh, also in 1999, South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut. So again, certain generations may have no taste for South Park. South Park was for my generation. I love South Park. And I love this movie. Like, this movie is actually genius. Not low-key genius, like in your face genius. The songs, the scenes, everything in it, and what they do to the devil in this is so demeaning. So, he's lonely and he's in love. He's in a toxic, kind of abusive relationship with Saddam Hussein. If you've never seen this movie, really, I mean, I know a lot of people get really offended by South Park, and I mean, there are reasons for that. I think they mean it to be that way, but I'm not here to, defend it against people who hate it. If you like it and you haven't seen this movie, please do. If you have seen the movie and haven't seen it in a while, it holds up. It's still really good. All right, in the year 2000, we've got Little Nicky. Now, this is a very hell-centered movie. It's a very Spawn of the Devil-centered movie. But Harvey Keitel plays the devil in this. Now, what's great about that is he is not actually Lucifer. He is not the first Satan. Rodney Dangerfield actually is. And he's kind of in retirement, and he walks around in a Hugh Hefner, like, smoking jacket all the time. And everybody keeps telling him to go away, go back to your room. And Harvey Keitel is the acting Satan. And he is very busy. He is sort of delegating roles in hell. But he does, for certain special people like Hitler, he does his own punishments. It is the devil himself that shoves the pineapple up Hitler's ass. I love this movie. I can't help it. All right. 2004, The Passion of the Christ. Now, this is kind of a ghoulish movie. I haven't seen it probably since 2004 or 2005, just because it was like, ugh, what are you trying to... God, Mel Gibson. Like, this was the start of Mel Gibson's really bad meltdown that, he was very deservedly kind of canceled in Hollywood because he did some gross shit. But this movie, it's a gore fest. Like, this weird, like, for the faithful, it would be an act of masochism to watch this movie. But I bring it up because the devil in this movie is actually creepy. The devil in this movie is there, observing, watching, but also tempting and saying things, and that creepy little baby scene, and like, I'm not watching this movie again just but I know it's a thing with some people, so I mean, have at it, to each his own. But the devil in that movie is like legitimately creepy, like legitimately like all right. 2005, Constantine. Now, I get it. I get why fans of the comic books did not like this movie. But if you're able to divorce this movie from that material and take it for just a movie, I really like this movie. I really like the premise. I really like the characters. I think this is a good movie. And Peter Stormare plays the devil in this. And Peter Stormare, he's one of those characters that he can play completely goofy and weird, but he can also do this really weird, kind of intense thing. Like, think of his character in Fargo, where he's just he's weird, but he's also intense. He's one of those guys you wouldn't want to be in a car with because he's going to stab you in the ear or something. And in this, as the devil, there's again that undercurrent of madness. There's that undercurrent of instability, of like there's so much anger and rage just below the surface that he could snap like that. It's just one of those devil characters I really like. 2006, Tenacious D in the Pick of Destiny. I love this movie, and I love that Dave Grohl plays the devil. If you've never seen this movie, and you have even a little bit of love for Jack Black. I have a lot of love for Jack Black, but I think this is a movie that is totally worth a watch. It's just a nice watch. It's completely weird. And, you know, they talk about, you know, making Jack Black Satan's sex slave. What do they call it? The devil's mayonnaise that he's going to fill him up with. It's just a fun movie. So the last movie I want to talk about is, of course, The Witch in 2015. This is a recent movie that I actually really liked. This is a movie that didn't rely on jump scares, but also wasn't trying to shove, oh, look how high-minded we are. We're actually culturally important horror. It wasn't like that. This is a slow burn movie that was tense throughout the entire thing. This is one of those movies where you're tired when you reach the end, even though the end was like, oh, when the devil finally speaks through that damn goat. Again, spoilers, but you had to have been... There's so much Black Phillip merchandise out there. But come on, that's amazing. When that damn goat finally speaks and you're like, oh, well, it was him. So much fun. So before I go, I also want to talk about 2 television shows that I really like the character of Satan. So this show, Supernatural, I am not up to date. Don't talk to me about it. I'm warning you. I don't know how it ends. I will tell you that if I were writing it, I would kill the boys off. I would let them die and go to the afterlife and rest. There is no rest on earth for them. I truly believe that. If I were writing it, I would kill them. So don't talk to me. I don't know how it ends. I will get there. But Mark Pellegrino plays Lucifer in this show, and he does such a good job. Like, so Satan kind of body jumps a little bit. Other people are inhabited by the spirit, but Mark Pellegrino, I think, by far does the best job. Another show I want to talk about is, of course, the show Lucifer. This is a show that gets kind of dismissed a little bit because they hired a good-looking man to play Lucifer, and they did. And because I guess it's kind of a girly show. It's, you know, it's got romance in it. It's about LA cops, and it's sex positive. You know, not everybody's straight in it. Not everybody's even, you know, there's gender fluidity going on. I think it's a very positive show. And yes, I love this show. I love the drama. I love the, you know, almost romance, but not quite. We can't quite relax long enough to do it. And it's funny. It is a legitimately funny show. So that'll be it. I could do a Lucifer in books episode next week, but you know what? I'm not gonna. Just because, to be perfectly honest with you, I haven't read a lot of horror books featuring the devil. And I don't want to sit and talk to you about the few that I have read that are classical works of literature. Not here. So what I'm asking of you is to recommend books to me. Gimme. Tell me the books that you've read that feature not the Antichrist, not demons, but the Dark One himself. Bonus, if, like in these movies, he is an agent of chaos doing the work himself. Down here, doing it himself, not ordering people around, doing it himself. So give me the books. Tell me the books to read featuring the devil. I have no idea what I'll do next week. This week is already kind of unsure and a little bit stressful, so I will get back to you on that. But I promise I will be back next week. And I hope the world is treating you well. I hope everything is all right. And thank you so much for being here week after week, watching this drivel, and talking books and movies with me. I think this is a great time. So I will be back next week. And until then, let's hope it works this time. Bye.